This project is supported by Quantum Paradigm.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Quantum Explainer. Today we are tackling a giant, the 7 habits of highly effective people. But here's the twist. We're not going to just list the 7 habits. Nope. We are going way deeper to the one single idea you absolutely have to get before any of those habits will ever stick. This is the foundational mindset that truly changes everything. Let's get into it. So let me ask you, does any of this sound familiar? Stephen Covey kicks off his book by sharing the kind of stuff people were always coming to him with. You know, things like, I'm crushing it at work, but my personal life is a wreck. Or, I swear I'm going to do something, and then I just don't. I can't keep a promise to myself. Or the classic, my teenager is completely out of control and just won't listen. These are real painful problems, right? And how we try to solve them, well, that's where it all goes wrong. See, when we're facing these deep issues, our first instinct is usually to find a quick fix, a life hack, some kind of trick. But Covey says that's precisely why we keep failing. We're throwing superficial solutions at problems that are incredibly deep. And this leads us to 2 totally different paths for success. One is all about your personality, and the other is all about your character. To really bring this to life, Covey shares this incredibly vulnerable story about his own family. He and his wife had a son who was just struggling with baseball. He was small for his age, a little uncoordinated, and he just wasn't good at it. And you can just imagine how crushing that feels for a little kid, right? His self-esteem was in the gutter, and his parents, of course, just wanted to fix it. So they did what pretty much any of us would do. They went all in with what Covey calls the personality ethic. They used all the positive attitude tricks. They were on the sidelines yelling, "Come on, son, you can do it. We know you can." If another kid laughed at him, they'd jump in. They were just showering him with constant reinforcement and encouragement, basically trying to manage the situation from the outside. But here's the kicker. It didn't help at all. His son would just cry and insist he'd never be any good. The failures kept piling up, his confidence just completely vanished, and his parents were starting to get seriously worried. I mean, they were doing everything right, using all the popular parenting techniques. So why was it failing so spectacularly? This painful experience led Covey to this massive aha moment. He'd been studying success literature from the last 200 years and noticed a huge change. See, the older stuff was all about what he called the character ethic. You know, foundational things like integrity, humility, patience. These are primary traits. But more recently, the focus had shifted to the personality ethic. Things like your public image, communication skills, quick fix influence tactics. Those are secondary traits. He realized he was using superficial secondary fixes for a deep primary problem. And this is where it gets really honest. Covey realized the problem wasn't his son's ability to play baseball. The real problem was his own motive. He and his wife were worried about how their son's failure reflected on them as parents. They were more concerned with their own social image than with their son's well-being. The way they saw their son, that was the real issue. So they did something radical. They stopped trying to change his son and started working on themselves. They worked on their own motives, their own character, and how they perceived him. They detached their own egos from his performance and just started to see him for the unique, valuable person he was, totally separate from his baseball skills. And the result, over time, their son just blossomed. Academically, socially, and yeah, even athletically, becoming an all-state athlete. The change had to come from the inside first. Covey tells this other incredible story. He's on a quiet subway in New York one Sunday morning. You know the scene. People are reading, just chilling out. It's totally peaceful. And then this man gets on with his kids, and the whole vibe just shatters. The children were completely out of control, yelling, throwing things, grabbing people's newspapers. Total chaos. And the dad, he just sat there right next to them with his eyes closed like he was in another world. He was doing nothing. And you could just feel everyone on that train getting more and more irritated. Finally, Covey, feeling like he's been super patient, leans over and says, "Sir, your children are really disturbing a lot of people. I wonder if you couldn't control them a little more." The man kind of lifts his gaze, like he's just now noticing what's going on, and he says softly, "Oh, you're right. I guess I should do something about it. We just came from the hospital where their mother died about an hour ago. I don't know what to think, and I guess they don't know how to handle it either. Just, wow, can you imagine hearing that?" Covey said his whole paradigm shifted in 1 second. His irritation just evaporated. He didn't have to try to be patient or understanding. His whole heart just filled with the man's pain. Sympathy and compassion just flowed out of him. Instantly, seeing the situation differently made him think, feel, and behave completely differently. That is the power of a paradigm shift. The power of your maps. So what is actually happening here? What's the mechanism that makes this kind of change possible? Well, it all comes down to understanding our paradigms, which is just a fancy word for the mental maps we all use to navigate the world. Okay, so what's a paradigm? It's basically a model or a frame of reference. It's the lens you see everything through. It's not just what you see, it's how you understand and interpret it all. But honestly, the easiest way to think about it is this. A paradigm is just a map, and this leads to one of the most powerful ideas you'll ever hear. The map is not the territory, it's just a representation of reality. So the real question becomes, how good is your map? Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're trying to find your way around Chicago. You're trying really hard, you've got a great attitude, you're determined to succeed. There's just one tiny problem. Someone gave you a map of Detroit. Can you feel the frustration already? Seriously, think about it. What could you do? You could work on your behavior, try harder, run faster, but that would just get you to the wrong place quicker. Or you could work on your attitude, think more positively. I love being lost. Well, you'll still be lost, you just feel better about it. The point is, the problem isn't your behavior or your attitude. The problem is you have the wrong map. And what's so wild about this is how fast everything can change the moment you get the right map. This isn't always some slow, painful process. Sometimes a paradigm shift can happen in a single, mind-blowing instant. The new path forward. Okay, so if our paradigms, our maps are the source of everything, how do we make sure we have the right ones? This is where Covey introduces what he calls the inside-out approach. It's a new way forward that focuses on the root of the tree, not just the leaves. And the best way to explain it is with the old fable of the goose and the golden egg. See, true effectiveness is all about balance. You need the golden eggs. That's the results you want, the success. But you also have to take care of the goose, the asset that produces those eggs. The personality ethic is obsessed with getting the golden eggs. But the character ethic, that's about nurturing the goose. And the goose is you. It's your character. This whole inside-out idea is structured so logically. The first 3 habits are what he calls the private victory. This is all about you. It's about self-mastery, building your character, and moving from being dependent on others to being truly independent. And only then, once you've done that work, can you move on to the public victory. And that's habits 4, 5, and 6, which are all about creating amazing, effective relationships with other people. And this is the bottom line. You have to win the private victory before you can win the public one. You just can't fake it. You can't have deep, meaningful success with others if you haven't first achieved success with yourself. Covey says it's like trying to harvest a crop you never planted. It's a law of nature. It's inside out. So before you even start worrying about the 7 habits, the real work begins right here. The way you see the problem is the problem. Your paradigms are the source of everything you think and do. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Are your mental maps, your paradigms, actually taking you where you really want to go? Or have you been trying to find your way through Chicago with a map of Detroit?